The Arrowhead Blood Center would love to find more families like the Van Gilders. As a group, they faithfully donate blood throughout the year. They learned the hard way that blood is a precious commodity. When Gail Van Gilder was sick and needed a transfusion, Dennis, her husband, began recruiting friends and family, including his son Ray and daughter Heidi, to help out. Gail is better now and doesn't need blood, but the Van Gilders keep on giving.
Well, you know, you're helping your country and stuff if people need it, and that all your fellow people and stuff, and if you ever need transfusions and stuff, the blood is there for them.
In the Arrowhead region, we supply blood to 13 hospitals, and right now we are less than 50% below our normal level of blood supply.
With demand rising and their supply dangerously low, the Arrowhead Blood Center is scrambling to attract donors. Because of time constraints during the holidays, the amount of blood coming in drops while the need goes up.
And of course, there's the constant need of blood where we have accident victims, surgery patients, cancer and leukemia patients, premature infants. The list is endless of all the people who need blood all of the time.
So if you have some extra time during the holidays, the Blood Center would love to have you. The entire process takes about 15 minutes, which makes it easy for even the busiest guy in town to help out.
Ho, 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 give blood.
In Duluth, Ted Rollins, News 6.
We've all heard the song, How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? And nobody will argue they're cute. But pet experts say the holidays aren't the best time of year to give pets away as gifts.
It's great to see a little fluffy puppy under the tree, but it's just not really practical. Maybe wait a couple of weeks and then go into and concentrate on working with the puppy. You know, it's a lifelong commitment when you get a pet. So.
The intentions are good. Most people want animals to have a nice home, but after the holidays are over, the responsibility for kids can become overwhelming.
If the dog's going to be breastfed, there's no reason to buy a pet if they aren't going to take care of it or don't even know if they like pets for that.
Still, most children like company.
They need a best friend, and they need somebody to talk to. And animals don't talk back, and they always love you. So they're something that the kids can really relate to. So I think it's really important for them to grow up with a pet and show their emotions to something.
So if you want to get your child a pet,
yes, please. 1247.
Experts say try starting out with something that requires little maintenance, like a bird or a fish. Or maybe even something kids can cuddle with, like a guinea pig. Well, iguanas maybe don't like to cuddle, but they're easy to take care of and definitely interesting to look at. In Duluth, Molly McMillan, News 6.
And people have not been listening. There has not been one violent thing that has happened in this country that has not already been told that it is going to happen.
that sex offenders are difficult, if not impossible, to treat. Once you've got convictions for sex offenses, I think we've all got a real concern having those types of people on the streets again. And so I think the intent of the statute is good.
The cold of last winter could not keep tourists from taking part in their favorite wintertime activities. Throwing abundant snowfall in many area resort and business owners will tell you that last year was, well, productive. My, how lack of snowfall can quickly change an outlook.
Now, we have been drastically hurt over Christmas. From Christmas to New Year's, I've talked to, one of my resort owners told me 90% down. I talked to one of our snowmobile rental places, and he told me he was losing $2,000 a day.
To understand how bad things are, consider this. Telmark fills its 200-room resort an average of 70% of all weekends. They have yet to fill one weekend this winter.
We, over the holiday season from Christmas to New Year's, experienced a 60% loss of business during that period. At this time, we're seeing about a 20 to 25% decrease.
The lack of fresh natural snow has hurt snowmobile enthusiasts the most. But even the number of cross-country skiers in the area has noticeably declined because trails are just too bare. Resort owners say it's not so much the snow depth, but the lack of consistent snowfall.
You've got to have a little bit falling every so often to smooth it out and give us something to work with.
With accumulating snowfall in the forecast for later tonight and tomorrow, residents of the Cable area will be watching things closer than normal. The winter season is still young, and many believe they can recover from a slow start to the winter of 1994-95. In Cable, John Jetta, News 6.
What's the status of the search, Art?
Well, it's a big area. We know that the gentleman was traveling from the Cloquet area to Brookston. Unfortunately, there's a number of different ways to do that, and we're searching the most probable causeways.
I want to do runway work, but you have to be like 5'7", 5'8", and I'm not that tall. They said you have to be that high, and I don't know how I'm going to make myself grow any higher.
And this is still dragging on. If Phyllis was concerned about what was best for Felicia and Natasha, she would have been in the courtroom back in September of 1993 trying to, fight his will or contest his will, not coming back now after dragging us and them through all of this.
And then as soon as something comes across, we can get it. So otherwise, we save about a half a day.
Our priority is that we make government accountable and affordable. We support children and their families. We prepare our young people for the world of work. We create jobs and sustain that economic vitality that we appreciate and enjoy in Minnesota, and that we build stable communities.
Our outlook for the steel industry in the States is very robust for at least the next year and a half.
Sidewalk was closed after should have fell in.
With people, he sort of had the ability, it seemed, to. We have victim advocates precisely for such an occurrence who can work.
BB's been at your house.
of old money here. Yeah, right.
No longer with us. Lord, we pray that you come and comfort our family. Everything that you're doing is
I'm Bob, and this is my brother Ted. How was it?
Known criminals, crooks, and thieves. What weapons?
In every other case, the issue of racism, or whether we're doing something different because of the race of the victim or the suspects, is just it's uncalled for, and it isn't true at all.
Our sacred gift from the Creator. They're left without a mother. And these people are allowed to run free. They're let out of jail.
It's getting pretty close to home. You never know what's going to happen, honey. From one day to the next, I'll tell you.
Do it in your Girl Scout troop, you know, whatever. There's a lot of
conference, and we also we talked about how we thought stereotypes were one of the most important things that need to be fixed in the world today, and also
Oh, sure. This kind of cabin fever sets in, and people love to come down to the sports show and see what's all new for the coming season on the water and stuff. It's just not for fishing. There's boats and other recreational things that are here also.
In radio in the spectrum, and that for differences of opinion
Our position all along has been that we'll line up with everybody else to take our fair share of cuts. Deficit reduction is the thing on people's minds. I'm all for that. Hey, I pay taxes too. What this seems to be, however, is more of a political vendetta of some sort rather than fiscal management. Right, of the Communications Act of 1934.
I don't know the name of the actress, but walked into news.
There's the chair of that committee that's going to rewrite that act. Given happening in other areas of the state, that's what will be lost, plus all the other programming.
Our inability to effectively enforce the law was somewhat limited. I mean, there's a couple of issues here that I think the public, that ultimately determines what direction you go with this. I must admit I have some personal reservations about intruding in people's private property. Now, professionally, the other side of it is I know what the lack of wearing seatbelts can do to people. It can kill them or maim them forever.
In Duluth, we have a long tradition of an excellent school system. Congratulations on the 30 years, and particularly on the Award of Excellence that you're receiving tonight.
The glory days of beer and brewing in the Northland were between 1895 and 1915. There were 7 Northland breweries at the time in Ashland, Superior, Duluth, Virginia, and Tower. With a great supply of clean water and plenty of ice for lagering beer, this was a prime place for brewing, and there were plenty of thirsty palates.
Beer was the drink. and it was cheap.
Clarence Coupin Johnson is a local brewing historian who worked at Fitger's for nearly 30 years. He says back then a family could buy beer anytime, anywhere.
If they lived by a corner saloon, they'd send Junior down to the side door with his little pail and get a pail of beer down there.
But the most notable name in Northland brewing history is August Fitger, a German immigrant who took over a lakefront brewery. Fitger's was a profitable organization for a long time in Duluth. This film from 1939 shows workers scrutinizing the bottling line. These were happy times, as the sign proclaims. After all, Prohibition was over and local brewing was in full swing again.
This was the first day that Fitger sold beer after repeal of Prohibition.
And look at that, there's still beer in it.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it's still, and look, it's still carbonated.
So we could chill that up?
You could chill that, and as long as the sedimentation in the bottom, the beer would taste pretty good.
Meanwhile, across town, Duluth's other major brewery, Duluth Brewing and Malting, was turning out Royal Bohemia.
There was still a depression. I thought, and I didn't have a job. I said, boy, I'm going to try to get a job at the brewery.
Bob Ostern rose through the ranks to become president of the brewery. He was there in 1966 when they brewed the last batch of beer.
June 13, 66.
Oh, this was the last brew, huh?
Yeah. 13,500 pounds of malt.
The brewery was taken by the I-35 extension, but the problem with local brewing was more than just local progress. Big breweries could make beer cheaper, undercutting local breweries. Fitger's was the last to go in the 1970s, but the building still stands as a reminder of Duluth's brewing past.
Simple approach. It's a complex problem, but it's a simple approach to talking about all the kids, every kid from the day they're 3 years old, to say this, no, you don't use guns in this way. And then the sports people that want to teach responsible hunting and those types of things can do their thing.
The state planned to sell off because they were just paying property tax on it.
Income for the county. When it's a state, in other words, they sell, say you have a lot there, it costs $100,000 of taxes on it.
Lake property is $1,000.
I think Lake Superior.
The benefit from this plan is to provide public management of the lands that will provide access for recreation, and then also preservation to protect the river corridors. The St. Louis River Corridor, the Whiteface River Corridor, and the Cloquet River.
It's going very well. We have a number of booths, and a number of ladies are helping out. We're having a great time just raising money for others around the world.
One of the main missions of Congressman Oberstar's visit is to convince his constituency that the Republican tax cut favors those who make more than $200,000 a year and hurts most other people, especially low-income families here in the Northland. One significant area of cuts is the Energy Assistance Program. At this home on West 6th Street, a crew is filling the walls with insulation free of charge to the 85-year-old owner as part of Duluth's CAP program. But Congressman Oberstar says under the Republican plan, home heating programs will be drastically cut.
They're not cutting bureaucrats or bureaucracies, as Newt Gingrich's pollster said he should tell the American people. They are cutting flesh and blood Americans, our neighbors, our fellow citizens, our friends, our family, our children.
The $17 billion in cuts includes $14.8 million cut in weatherization funds and $349 million cut in community development block grant funds. In Duluth alone, that means the loss of more than $1 million to help low-income households with heating costs.
It'll be a significant cut for our program. The elimination of energy assistance will be the most devastating to people in Duluth. That'll impact about 3,700 households.
Asked what he would have done instead, Oberstar said he felt cuts made last year were enough. He also said money saved on the federal level should be used for deficit reduction and not for tax cuts. In Duluth, Bill Lund, Channel 6 News.
It's called the Pavement Quality Index, or PQI, and according to a recently released study using the index, northeastern Minnesota has the poorest roads in the state, bar none. The PQI measures road quality based on two criteria, the roughness or ride of the road and the pavement surface conditions, or the number of cracks and patches on the road surface. Both criteria form what is known as the PQI range. Experts pay close attention to both ends of the range. For example, of the 9 outlying districts, the Twin Cities metropolitan area and the Mankato district had the fewest percentage of road miles termed poor or very poor. On the other hand, the Duluth district had the highest percentage of rough roads. 40% of the more than 1,800 miles of road in the district were classified as poor or very poor. This was 16% higher than the Brainerd district, which was next to last. What's more, the Duluth district has the least amount of road miles in good driving condition. In fact, its 16% total is last, far worse than the Bemidji district, which is next to last. A good indication that Northland roads need far more repair than other state arteries can be found in the overall pavement rating index, or the average. The Duluth district has an average of 3.0, which is termed fair. All other districts recorded a value of 3.3 or higher, which is termed good. The fact that Northland roads are in poor driving condition may stem from a number of reasons. The majority of trunk highway expenditures for the Duluth District last year went into completing the Highway 61 tunnels. The year before that, it was the I-35 extension. Also, it requires more money to construct a road in northeastern Minnesota due to the large amount of wetlands and peat bogs in the region. With roughly $35 million budgeted for district road repair this year, the Department of Transportation is considering a number of projects, including Highway 53 surface repair, Phase 1 to install a new bridge along Highway 33 from Highway 45 to the Morristown Road, and Phase 1 of installing a new bridge along Highway 61 at Gooseberry Falls. In Duluth, John Jetta, Channel 6 News.
They split up last night about 5, 6 o'clock, just about dark. One stayed in the shelter, and he's in a snowmobile shelter, and he's the one that walked out this morning, and he hasn't seen his two friends since.
The faces are what Sadie Burson remembers about the rainforest, the faces of those she and her team of volunteers sees 4 times a year. Burson is the president of Rainforest Health Project, a nonprofit group that spends 2 weeks in Peru with natives who either don't have or don't understand health care.
The government of Peru has asked us to work on this project there, and we have Peruvian physicians that accompany us into the jungle, and for some of them it's their first time in the jungle.
The trip is daunting, 120 miles up the Amazon River by boat, which comes and goes twice monthly. Once you're there, you're in for the long haul, and that takes a special type of person.
You need to be patient, you need to be adventuresome, and you need to understand, especially in the field of medicine, that things don't always necessarily go the way you'd like them to.
That can make for some real problems. For example, the group can't count on the government to deliver supplies to its clinics, so they only take into the rainforest what they can bring themselves. But once they arrive, more surprises often lie in store, such as the inside of a typical rainforest hospital.
So when someone is brought to a Peruvian clinic or hospital, there will be a bed present, but there won't be any other supplies, not like we see in our hospitals.
That means the family provides everything from supplies to hand-holding to mattresses and pillows on occasion. It can be heartrending to see what the people go through and the lengths they're willing to go to see a doctor.
Personally, it was very, very difficult because after we saw one woman, we began to have just hordes of people coming to our base camp in canoes, 24 hours a day, very quiet, never asking for anything, but just sitting on the side of the river hoping that someone would come by and offer some medical care to them. But they never asked for it. They were afraid to ask for it.
Every time Borson and her group returns, the problem is the same. They've taken residents from Minnesota and Wisconsin to the rainforest and have a new trip planned for May, not to take over, but rather to provide a helping hand.
We are not there to tell them they're doing anything wrong. We're not there to tell them to change their practices to our ways. We're there simply because they've asked us to come and help them with their children.
And it's the children that keep the group coming back. Sadie Burson hopes that with each trip into the jungle, the people of Peru will come closer to reaching their ultimate goal. In Deer River, Jeff Pappas, Channel 6 News. It was a weapon that helped win the Second World War. The P-38 Lightning was the scourge of the South Pacific, and in the hands of the right pilot, it was devastating. And no one flew the Lightning better than Poplar's Richard Bong. Major Bong used the Lightning to claim 40 enemy aircraft, an all-time record for an American ace. After Bong's death in a 1945 air crash, the Air Force donated a Lightning to Bong's hometown, Poplar. But last October, the plane was taken to Duluth for badly needed restoration. That's where the 148th Fighter Group comes in. In conjunction with an all-volunteer staff, the old fighter is being rebuilt from the ground up.
This is a great community project, and it's great for us in the Guard to be involved in it. It's not a Guard project. We're volunteers and help with technical assistance and parts procurement.
That can be a real problem. The Lightning hasn't flown in combat for 50 years, but if a spare part is needed, there are still people who know where to find them.
It's amazing that one guy will lead you to another one, and pretty soon they're calling you looking for stuff. And they're parts that are very hard to find. It's a rare, very rare aircraft. You know, they made 10,000 of them. There's probably half a dozen left. So.
Restoring a part of history appeals to the volunteers.
It's important to me, yes, but it's just something I enjoyed doing, and like I guess I didn't give it that much of a thought that it was part of history at the time I started with it.
The crew still has a long way to go. The plane's wingtips and interior have been removed and won't go back on until the job is finished. The group hopes to have the plane ready in August in time for the 50th anniversary of Bong's death, providing a suitable transition from the old Air Corps to the new Air Force. In Duluth, Jeff Pappas, Channel 6 News.
The kids are doing fine. For a 4- and 6-year-old, they can only handle things as much as their mental capacity will let them. They're really handling it well.
You're receiving is what's going to happen to you for the next 50 years, so what a better place to be.
People also being receptive of you as Don Wells, the person they all know and love.
Marianne, of course. I keep getting called Marianne, sure. And this age kid grew up with me. This age kid came home from school at 3:30 and watched the show. And it was a healthy show. It's something to be proud of. You know, it was a show that brought a lot of love and a lot of happiness and a lot of laughter to a lot of generations. Good luck. Oh, bye. Nice to meet you. Yep.
Data? I think that's very convincing.
Never graphically, but
I think that's quite. This March 11th and 12th, and then balance. So it's a rather significant increase, and that's why paper. And this is what happens to Duluth. And here is. And the city has given us 2 long-term plans before and failed to deliver on them. We need another one that we think that they can actually implement. And if it's going to take them some time, which we're really here giving them 9 more months to come up with an acceptable plan, I don't think we're rushing them.
But how are you feeling today, I guess?
Well, I'm feeling very good, very excited, and today is the day where you kind of pinch yourself and say, it's over and I've won, and it's really exciting.
Take it easy. Keep an eye on some. Hey! Okay, you got them all gathered up. This is one of the reasons we do it at this time, is we want to get them sheared just before the baby kids are coming. So then we got all the hair off, so it's easier for them to give birth to the kids and to help them suck.
I met Dean by a cousin of mine. He used to come up here before I started coming.
One thing about the goat shears is a lot different than sheep shears, and most of our sheep shears don't care to shear goats because they're tougher to shear than sheep. And so that's one reason you end up going to Texas to get these guys, and they like to shear goats. And
yeah, he's got some heavy goats. He got them pretty well fed. They're a lot bigger than the ones we have back home.
Like one sheep shearer down south that was going to find a better way to shear these goats than the Mexican style, and after he got done researching it for one of the shearing companies, he came back and said these Mexican fellows already got it figured out. We ain't going to change it. And they do a good job. They work hard, and they've always done a good job for it. The main market's in Texas, so you just want to go there. A lot of the hair from there will either go to the United Kingdom or China. A little bit of it's processed in the United States. So it takes a while before it'll be made into some type of garment.
Ensued the dinosaur wars.
The dinosaur wars are long over. The dinosaurs long gone.
How many legs does Stegosaurus have? 4.
All that survives, their fossils and our imagination.
And you see all these bones. It's like unbelievable.
Why?
Because there's like thousands and thousands of bones on these things.
Hollywood's tried to imagine like generations of paleontologists. Roy Chapman Andrews in the 1920s, the real-life model for Indiana Jones. Today's dinosaur diggers have buried yesterday's naive conclusions.
We're coming back to see the great diversity of dinosaurs and the habitats that they filled.
That great diversity included dinosaurs both huge and small, smart and stupid, warm and cold-blooded, meat-eaters and plant-eaters. Some traveled solo, then again...
Some of the plant-eaters traveled in herds that may number up to 10,000 or more.
They do move in herds.
Chances are we haven't found the weirdest one, which is kind of frightening considering some of the things that people have found.
Just in the last 20 years, scientists have found half the known dinosaur types. In Utah, this recent discovery is still a mystery. Our conception of dinosaurs keeps changing, keeps evolving just as they did. Here at the Carnegie in Pittsburgh, take this T-Rex exhibit. It's world famous, it's also inaccurate, as knowledgeable children sometimes remind the museum.
We've had phone calls from youngsters, 4 or 5 years old, saying, why do we have that picture of Tyrannosaurus Rex standing behind Tyrannosaurus? Because it's not correct. It has 3 toes on its front foot. And everyone knows that T-Rex only has 2 toes on its front foot.
Jurassic Park brought T-Rex to life, cloning a sample of dinosaur DNA. Most experts say that's absurd, but in a fossilized dinosaur egg like this one, scientists in China recently said they found DNA.
They'd be this strong as can be.
Their mystery still dwarfs our understanding. Larger than life, down through the ages. In Pittsburgh, Mark Strassman for NBC News. Dinosaur National Monument, near Utah's border with Colorado.
But up here at the very top of the cliff in the center there, you can see one of the two skulls of a skeleton.
This former quarry has become a window onto the world of dinosaurs, a bone gem from the past, perfectly preserved.
All Jurassic.
All Jurassic, about 145 million years old.
So this is Jurassic Park.
This is the Jurassic Park, the real Jurassic Park.
This is the leg bone of an apatosaurus, better known as a brontosaurus. It's a fossil and a clue to a mystery millions of years in the making. That mystery is as much about how dinosaurs died as it is about how they lived.
I think that extinction is something that sort of fascinates and terrifies everyone.
The sun got too hot and the water dried up.
A disease.
Then the plants dried up and then the plant eaters died.
Just climate changes, you know, that seems the most reasonable to me.
Then the meat eaters died because there wasn't a plant eater, so they could eat it.
Sometimes it seems everyone has a pet theory why dinosaurs really went extinct.
I think it was probably a meteorite.
A huge meteorite 65 million years ago figures into many mainstream theories, crashing into the Earth at 45,000 miles an hour, creating massive sound waves, catastrophic tremors, cracks in the Earth's surface. Volcanoes spewed lava and ash into the air, blocking sunlight, choking off the food supply, killing off the dinosaurs.
It's obviously a global crisis of some kind. The question is which of the factors causes this global crisis, and in fact everyone could be a bit right.
Or just asking the wrong question. Forget extinction theories, says paleontologist Jack Horner. Concentrate on how dinosaurs lived, not how they died.
Just always seems a little odd to me that a creature that's been on Earth for 4 million years at the most would wonder what would had happened to an animal that survived for 140 million.
In fact, Horner believes dinosaurs never went extinct. We just call them birds.
You know, we could certainly probably learn maybe something about our own future if we understood more about what happened to the dinosaurs. Hope that we don't go the same way they did. Right.
From masters of the planet to a mystery of evolution stingy with its clues. At the Dinosaur National Monument in Utah, Mark Strassman for NBC News.
Oh, we've got dinosaurs all wrong. Up and down, we're wrong about dinosaurs.
Don Lessam's got dinosaurs all right, got them everywhere.
I love them because my kids loved them. I loved them when I was a kid, and I got to rediscover them when I grew up.
Dinosaur toys, dinosaur books, and dinosaur bones.
You know, big dinosaur the size of a truck with a brain the size of a ping pong ball. And then,
he's Dinosaur Dan, columnist and slayer of dinosaur myths.
Most dinosaurs were smaller than a Buick. A lot of them were the smartest animals that lived in their time.
From Godzilla to Dino and the Flintstones, the dinosaurs become the Rodney Dangerfield of evolution. At the Dinosaur National Monument in Utah, dinosaur dead do get their respect.
You see the bones as paleontologists see them when they're first found.
But drive down the road and you swear you're back in bedrock.
They're kind of treated like cartoon characters.
Some kids are just too little and they don't understand what they mean and stuff.
Dinosaurs were more than monsters that really lived. They were the most successful creatures to ever walk the earth, and as such, they deserve some overdue respect.
They are really one of the most spectacular experiments of the history of life on land.
Fossil finds prove the dinosaurs' great range and diversity, adaptable and generally dominant for 165 million years, and even in extinction, alive with perspective.
We haven't been around 1/100th of the time the dinosaurs were, and we'd be lucky to be around as long as them.
I think it's pretty neat that these were once sort of king of the planet and now they're gone.
Jurassic Park brought dinosaurs back to life. Just keep in mind, dinosaurs and people meet only in Hollywood. Anywhere else, they live 65 million years apart. Don Lessam knows that. But as Steven Spielberg's consultant, he made suggestions, not decisions.
Of course, the best thing of all was that I did get Steven Spielberg's hat. I'd be typing away at my computer at odd hours of the night, and people from Jurassic Park would call and say, could Tyrannosaurus Rex swim?
Those same dinosaur questions often answer the first call to science.
Let's see, how about Stegosaurus's brain? How big do you think his brain was?
They were really, really, really small, like a walnut.
Children fall for the real-life monsters. This T-Rex, Wes Matthews wants to take it home and
Probably put it on the yard.
pulling it out from the backyard of evolution, where the dinosaurs finally moved out and their mystery moved in. Mark Strassman for NBC News.